Hey everybody, I'm Duna. Welcome back to Duna ơi. I'm so happy that today finally I have a chance to talk to a Brazilian comrade. And now, because I know nothing about Brazil, so today I'm gonna ask everything that I can about Brazil, and then we're gonna find out what's happening over there, and how about the socialist movement is in Brazil. So now let's talk to our comrade.
So, guys, my name is Lucas. I'm a lawyer from Brazil. I'm a socialist. Luna has been kind enough to have organized this conversation. So, basically, I have to go back 5 years. Um, we had not a socialist, but a center left government here under the Workers' Party, PT. And basically, this government was removed with a coup. It was a parliamentary coup. They did an impeachment to remove it. And then basically, we saw a really steady increase in neoliberalism with worker laws. There was a reform that really took the workers' right, pretty much every one of them away. And after this first batch of neoliberalism reforms, we basically had an election where someone named Jair Bolsonaro, who has been really close to the dictatorship that Brazil had, a military dictatorship in the 80s, that was not only supported but financed due to United States and its companies. So someone who came from this environment really started gaining followers and supporters due to his really violent rhetoric and the usual fascist trope of, I will give simple solutions to hard situations. And basically, with the help from the big media, because we have really rich TV networks and newspaper here that are from billionaire families, literally the global broadcast, the family owns over 40 billion reais, which is like close to $10 billion. And they not only have a history of supporting the military dictatorship that we have in the 60s until the 80s, but also they, are able to attack the left and everything. So this guy had the support from these people. And during the election, there was two serious things that happened. First of all, the Brazilian elite, the rich people, they paid for over like hundreds of millions of text messages to be sent over WhatsApp. So they basically do a huge fake news network to elect Jair Bolsonaro as president. So people who never followed him would just receive fake news. Literally, Luna, there was an instance where people were saying that the left, the Workers' Party, was buying and distributing, the sippy cups for children in the format of penises to convert young children in homosexuals. That's the level of stuff that we have in fake news here in Brazil. And it worked. The guy was elected, via the use of fake news and from that the elites, that the rich people paid for. And then there was this weird thing that he was attacked with a knife, but the video is really confusing. The guy, he was, they found that he is mentally unstable and he was put away. But basically, that's how we elected a fascist. The leftist movement here in Brazil is really kind of really close to keeping capitalism. The biggest left influences here, the Workers' Party, they're really centrist, reformist, they're really close. They want to keep the things as they are. So we are far from a revolutionary or having a really, a socialist force. We don't have it. And that's why we, in the midst of a pandemic, are really battling for number one with the United States. We have over very close to 500,000 people confirmed with COVID-19. Right now, it's May 29th. We have over 26,000 people who have perished from COVID-19. but every single serious study that is made is that the official number is just a seventh of the actual infection numbers. The subnotification here is really, really tough. And if we multiply the numbers by that, we have close to 4 million Brazilian infected and over 100 people. So if the numbers are to be believed, and I really think they should, Brazil right now is already the country with the most deaths. Because if you have 26,000 right now, plus times seven.
Yeah, times seven, it'd be like 100.
Yeah,
like
almost
140,000.
Yes, it's close to 150,000. So we are already ahead of the United States. And not only is the government actively working towards making it hard for us to fight COVID-19, they never close the borders. They only close it like after 2 months. The airplanes and even because Brazil, it's really big as a continental country. It's huge.
Yeah.
So the borders among the states, they remain open for a long time. The full quarantine here, it has happened in only we have almost 5,500 cities in Brazil. If 10 or 20 cities instituted a full quarantine, it's too much. It's been really, really low. The average of people staying at their homes here in Brazil, to isolate themselves, has been under 50%. And you guys don't need to know this number over there in Vietnam, but the World Health Organization has said that for the virus to be less infectious, to get less people, you have to have over 70% of people in their homes for you to don't have a really vast community spreading. And here in Brazil, the number is under 50%, because the president and the elites are pressing hard for the economy to go back to normal, because the liberty to be on the streets is more important than life itself. They have literally said that. And it's, we have an instance, just for you to know how insane things are, where the president of the republic, Jair Bolsonaro, the fascist, with 10 or 15 rich people from the elites, they marched through the capital on foot to go to the Supreme Court and demand that the isolation is done with. So we are at this level, and the number of deaths keep rising. Instead of forcing quarantine and giving federal laws to help it, the government is working really hard to make them go. While Brazil is still on the rise, he tried to open gyms and beauty parlors to open
spas, I guess.
Yes, as it was an essential economic function. And basically right now, we have been seeing these thousands and thousands of deaths, and we are pretty much in a serious danger of having a fascist coup here in Brazil. So right now we are at open war between the president and the Supreme Court, which is the only democratic institution that is still fighting him. The legislative part, the parliament, is pretty much doing whatever he wants. They are not fighting him, even though we have over 30 impeachment requests against him, because he went on the streets to greet people when he was pretty much infected with coronavirus. He has been going to huge gatherings of people with hundreds of people to demand a military dictatorship, that the military takes over the government. So he tries to do a coup on himself, so he's able to get more power and become a dictator. And everything that I'm telling you is happening during the pandemic. So you can see that the average Brazilian mindset right now, it's really tough, because we are seeing our brothers and sisters die because our government chose to let them die. It is an economic, a political choice It's not something that COVID-19 is unstoppable, as you guys in Vietnam know pretty well, as we also seen in Mongolia, 0 deaths, and other countries. And I know it's tough to say this hard stuff to you, but it's pretty much it. And feel free to ask whatever you want to ask or for more specific stuff.
Wow. So I'm asking about like, you say like how many? Can you see like how many percent of your people starting to recognize that something wrong in the government?
Yeah. So the current polling, they show that the president is still have the support of over 30% of people. You know, if you follow the Western media with Trump, there is a 30% of the citizens. They always are more like right leaning, conservative. They really support it. But even though fascism has been growing steadily over here, um, he still keeps the 30%. So 40% of people are already against him. We have like 22% of people who thinks his government is regular, like normal. So we don't have a vast majority of people here who
I
are
see.
against him because, as I told you, in the last
They,
5 years, the
yes,
media
they
treatment
believe
of the
in, yeah.
left, yeah, the media treatment of the left has really criminalized the left and paint us as
Mm,
murderers and thieves and etc. So people, Brazilians normally are really against the left and
mm,
socialism and everything. For example, here in Brazil, they have a saying, human rights to right humans. Is the stupidity to that would normalize a country that has over 60,000 murders every single year, a country that nowadays has more torture than it had during the military dictatorship. So we are in a bad place. We don't have a mass popular movement to remove this guy. Unfortunately, it's the contrary. We have more and more people literally asking for a dictatorship to be done with the constitutional, the Supreme Court, and done with the parliament and give the power back to the military. And that's where we at. It's really insane to watch.
wow. So I have a question about the fascism over there. What are their like belief, like ideology maybe? So like they think that Brazilian like the best or superior or something?
So pretty much what we have here in Brazil is two phenomena. The first thing is, for the last 30 years there have been a normalization of the numbers of murders that we have in Brazil. As I told you, we have over 50,000, 60,000 murders every year here in Brazil, and only like 8% of those murders are even investigated. So pretty much
Wow.
it's open, there is nothing done about that.
It sounds
And
like a lawless.
yes, the lawlessness here is like it's the Wild West, as I read one one American journalist say it, and it's pretty much it. And so we have this normalization of that. And we had the center leftist government from 2003 until 2016 when they do the
Mm,
impeachment, the coup that the right, the
mm,
conservatives did. And even though Brazil grew a lot, and I think you guys must have seen it, we
yeah,
grew and was
yeah.
prospering and everything, but we didn't have any kind of serious structural change due to having a leftist power in Brazil. We didn't have, we still don't have land reform here in Brazil, Luna. We don't have it. We still have most of everything is to the big owners. We have really, really, the number of families that own the land here is really, really low.
Really?
Yeah, we are before
Shock.
the
I'm
French
shocked.
Revolution. Yeah, we are behind the French Revolution in terms of land distribution here in Brazil. So we really have this oligopoly of huge farmlands. And when you have this, first of all, Brazil is a dependent state. So instead of developing our industry and trying to develop a strong country, we are happy to just use our vast lands to plant soy and sell it to the United States and China and think you're good because the elites here will be fine and the poor people won't. So when you have this scenario, it's easy to understand how the normalization of violence, the hate for the left, and this the thing I talk about to corruption, that people still link corruption heavily to leftist parties. Yeah. So given all of that, there was on April 22nd, there was a cabinet reunion. So there was Bolsonaro and every single one of his ministers. We only got to watch this 2-hour meeting because the former Ministry of Justice, who is the main guy who put in prison the leftist president, Lula was in prison during the election, so Bolsonaro would be elected. So here they arrested him with really close to no proof. And I'm not defending him. The guy is a centrist. He's a reformist. I'm a communist. I'm against him. And he brought this guy to be the justice ministry, and he left. He left the government because he said that the president was trying to influence the federal police here in Brazil to protect his own family, because Bolsonaro and his sons are really close to militia groups in Rio de Janeiro. So basically to drug traffickers and this kind of stuff. There have been links. Bolsonaro has literally paid homage to a famous militia leader in the floor of the Brazilian Congress, someone who at the time could not get the commendation because he was in jail for murdering someone. So that's the thing. And since this ministry left, he started attacking the government. So that's why I told you the Supreme Court in Brazil is an open fight with the president because of these allegations of corruption. And then the ministry said, oh, there was a meeting on April 22 that there served as proof that he wants to mess with the federal police. Okay, so that's why we got access to the video. But you asked me about fascism. Let me make you a really summary of what was said there. The economy minister said that he wants to copy what Nazi Germany did on the 30s and recruit 1 million young Brazilians to work in every single military building, earning $50 a month, which is like 1/3 of the minimum wage here in Brazil, to work on the military buildings, to learn how to be a good citizen, and to build roads and do infrastructure work. So basically, they're trying to repeat what Nazi Germany did, paying people close to nothing, a misery salary, and do that. So that's argument number one. Second, the education ministry literally said that he wants to arrest every single one who's against the government, especially the Supreme Court justices, and that he hates the notion that Brazilian has indigenous people, black people. There should be no different people, just one type of people. So you know who says this kind of stuff, right? And to complete the fascist state, and to complete the scenario, here in Brazil, the neo-Pentecostal, the Protestants, the religion has been really growing, not only in power, because they, take money from the people, 10% of their salary each month, but they have been growing in politics as well. They have huge amounts of politicians in the parliament. Brazil has over 500 people on parliament, deputies, and dozens of those are from the really extremist religious people. And due to that, Bolsonaro put as the human rights minister, okay, someone...
Human rights minister.
Yeah, the human rights minister is someone from the extremist religion. And she was really stunned that we have, people from Ukraine over here, and, Gypsy people, and Roma people is the correct term, and that we should not have these people here, because the values of her government, of the government she defends, is the value of the family. And it's really, they repeat what Engels has been saying for 100 years about the exploration of women, everything like that. And she also defended that we should arrest the mayors and governors that are not allowing and demanding people are back to work. So when you ask me about fascism, you can see every single talk point
Oh
is,
gosh.
yeah.
You know what? Like your government sounds a lot like Pol Pot, the Khmer Rouge. In Cambodia, it's actually like they would like force people to work in the concentration camp and work and receive like starving salary, and then like they have to mix. The crazy thing about Pol Pot is that they mix the race so that they mix the beautiful. They force the beautiful people to have children with like ugly people, like to people like smart people with like illiteracy people. It's so crazy idea, and then oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
That's the same thing happened in Brazil. It's like wow.
Yeah, I know it's tough. Saying out loud to someone who lives in a functioning democracy, I know it's insane. But just for you to understand how, a little bit more, on the last year, from 2019 to now, the fires in the Amazon and the deforestation of the Amazon has risen 30%. 30%. And during the same
30%.
cabinet meeting that I told you about the fascist talk points and etc., the environmental ministry, the minister, has said that we should enjoy the fact that the media is focused in COVID-19, and just as he said, let every single deregulation go to really burn down the forest, because his work there is to give more land to the already oligarchy that has all the huge patches of land, and they don't care about the keeping of the Amazon forest. And the thing about the Amazon rainforest, for your followers who maybe don't know about it,
You are the lungs of this earth, and what are you doing with that?
the lungs of the earth. And here in Brazil, we already are seeing the beginning of desertification in some areas of the Amazon forest. And if this insane number of 30% of rising deforestation keeps up, if this government, this fascist government, if this ministry stays up, we will begin a desertification process that cannot be reversed, because the way the biology of the Amazon is constituted cannot be replicated. It's really unique. You can't repeat it. So if we keep up this pace, the Amazon will become a desert, and the Amazon is responsible for the amount of rain that we get on Brazil, because Brazil is huge, the continental country, and also on the
Mm-hmm.
other countries of Latin America. So if the capitalists keep getting what they want, which is more land, and where they kill the indigenous population to get the land, we see the murders of indigenous leaderships here in Brazil
Yes.
almost every single month. They kill them. They don't care. The fight for the land here in Brazil is really the Wild West. And if the capitalism keep doing what they want, we will see a desertification in Brazil, where the misery and the deaths will not only spread to Brazil, but the other countries that are below us in Latin America, like Argentina, Uruguay, and it's really maddening to
Oh
watch.
my gosh. It's the capitalism. If they want to take down all the Amazon forest, they are committing like genocide to all indigenous people living there.
Yes. Yes, pretty much. And the human rights minister that I told you about, she has been organizing the extremist, religious people to go to the villagers to erase their culture. They don't want to, keep, as the education minister said, there should be only one people. They want to erase this culture, this,
Oh
thousands
gosh.
of year culture. And
So it's like Pol Pot, you know?
yes, and
So
she is the
scary.
one she's the one responsible for the funding of the protection of the indigenous people. So pretty much we have been seeing, literally, there's like hundreds, over a billion reais, which right now is like $200 million, that should have been gone to help protect the indigenous people from COVID-19. And this money has simply never left the ministry. They haven't used it. So we have seen a huge rise in the deaths of indigenous people. And it's really, and before you ask me how the socialist moving, how we are organizing over here,
Yeah, I'm about to ask that.
should be the obvious response, but basically we are stuck at home because since the government and most states are not doing isolation as it should, we cannot leave our houses because the chances of dying or infecting
Yeah.
someone with COVID is really really high. I know the comrades, the people in Chile who over the last few months have been really at the government's throat and reacting there back on the streets. But here in Brazil, we are at the height of the pandemic. As I told you, extra
Yeah.
officially, we are most likely number one in the world in terms of cases and deaths. And so we are really stuck. So if as a communist, we know how critical we are of reformists and centrists, but pretty much the centrists are spending time talking about their ample coalition with the with the right, with the usual liberal parties and everything like that, and trying to focus on the impeachment. But the parliament is really bought out by the elite. Bolsonaro has given a lot of important jobs for the people in parliament who will protect him from an impeachment
Mm-hmm.
process.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
pretty much we cannot go to the streets, we cannot organize properly, we cannot do protests due to COVID, and the big leftists figures in Brazil are more worried about going through the capitalism, democracy, institutions of impeachment, whatever. So the impotence with you is really really heavy. We really can't do much. I literally started my YouTube channel on the last month because what I can do is inform people and talk to people that the death and
Yeah.
destruction we are seeing is not to coronavirus. It's a
Mm.
political and economical choice that the people in
Yes.
power has made, and they are ready to kill as many workers as they want because the elites are safe. The people in government will be safe because they are serving this elite. And yeah, dear, it's a sad scenario, and
Yeah.
I want you to know, and your followers to know that it's really important to us to see the example of Vietnam and the other socialist countries, and basically every single country that treats its citizens like actual human beings who focus on the basics, which is the protection of life. And here in Brazil, we are literally seeing a defense, and they're looking for death. You know, people are.
Mm.
Do you know that Ghana music of the coffin, the meme of the people carrying the coffin from Ghana? People
Mm-hmm.
were playing that in front of a hospital in São Paulo that was full of people with coronavirus to protest that the government isn't allowing the full economic process to go on. So I don't have a better picture to tell you than that. So
One more small question. About like COVID-19 patient, how you got the treatment and will you have to pay for that?
yeah, so Brazil has the largest universal and free health system in the world. We still have been able to keep it. It is called unique health system, and
Mm.
SUS is the acronym here in Brazil.
SUS.
So pretty much we are able, if obviously we have limited number of hospital beds and intensive care units, but every single city, state, and the federal government have to treat every single patient in Brazil without charging money. So it's an obligation that is in place. But we don't have that many hospital beds available. So there was a small victory to workers that the Senate passed a law where the private hospitals are obliged to give their empty beds also to the normal citizen. So we have that going. But as neoliberalism will always keep acting on, we have seen the health ministry having been getting massive cuts in its budget for the last several years. And when I told you about the last impeachment and the coup that they did, they put in place a law that I think you go, I want to see your reaction live with, that froze the investment in health, education, and security, and it cannot be reasoned. We can't invest more money in these three basic things for 20 years to make the World Bank and the MFI happy. Okay? So for 20 years, Brazil cannot increase how much it spends on health, education, and security.
What?
Yes, we cannot do it.
It could affect like generations of people, millions of people, because that's...
Yeah. So people want to keep that. Bolsonaro, who is now president, voted for it. He defended it. He won't move it. He will keep it in place. And just for the last 5 years, Brazil has lost over 25 billion reais, which is around $5 billion. That money that was supposed to go to the health ministry budget, and it's been cut. So what we see here is, even though we have a universal and free health system that helps our citizens, the plan is to really make it, to bring havoc on it, is to wreck it, to make it unusable, so that the private, companies, the private hospitals, the private health insurance get more power and access to these hospitals, and start the exploration and everything. And you mentioned you and I recorded a video for my channel where you said that it's pretty much $30 a year to have private insurance there in Vietnam. I'm 33-year-old. I pay $100 a month to get private insurance here in Brazil. A month.
Wow.
Every single month. And that's the scenario. People who are, who work, who are able to have a little money. I'm far from being rich. I'm a worker. I'm a proletariat. Normally, we pay for the, private health security here in Brazil, because even though the universal system is free, it cannot attend everyone. It cannot help everyone. So we leave it to the poorest people who need it, who depend on it, and we look for the treatment ourselves. So that's the scenario, dear. It's really maddening, and we feel impotent. And as I told you, seeing your examples and the possibility of having a society, of having a modes of production in a way of living where we will never have to listen that liberty is more important than the life of our citizens. It really helps us a little bit in dealing with the insanity.
Yeah. Do you have any hope for Brazil in the future?
Look, I think it serves for every single people who are watching this video who are not in socialist economies. From the last big economic crisis that we got in capitalism, the one in 2008, what we saw was not a huge rise in revolutions and leftist party taking over. What we saw instead was an increase in neoliberalism, in reforms for the rich people, and and we also saw a huge growing of fascist far-right leaders. We have Modi in India, we have the guy in Hungary, in Poland, what's happening in Ukraine. We have Trump, who is a white supremacist with lots of supporters with him, and we have Bolsonaro. So from what we can see from the last time capitalism faced a big crisis, it's not good, because they have all the economic power, they have the military, they have everything to increase the repression and to increase the exploration. So here in Brazil, people on the left, they have this really morality approach. You know, oh, it's not moral to defend someone who defends torturers. You know, and they try this argument together with the, oh no, he's stupid. We shouldn't follow a stupid person. Don't be stupid. They follow this morality and intelligence argument on the political battle, and you as a Vietnamese, you know really well that that doesn't work. It's not a proper way to resist and to keep fighting.
Yes.
So I'm not a pessimist. I'm a Marxist. I have to analyze, to look at the material conditions. So from the last crisis and this coronavirus, the economic crisis that it's coming is going to be huge and all over the world. It's going to be massive. So my hopes for Brazil are not really big, because we saw from the last 12 years that the capitalism is really ready to increase, killing people, increase the support, because every single fascist and far right leader that we see all over the world, they get money from the big companies to do what they do. They don't happen. It has happened all throughout history, with the big companies supporting Mussolini and the big companies supporting Hitler. Fiat, the automaker, supported Mussolini, and IBM and every single other big company supported Hitler. So that's their story. That's their background. So obviously, I would really like for Brazilians and every single worker around the world to organize and see that the good examples from Vietnam and the other countries that are dealing with COVID-19 as a human thing, like Cuba, like the Kerala in India, and China. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
To see that there is no way to move forward inside the same political and economic structure that has led us to where we are right now. So for us to keep fighting,
Exactly.
oh, let's keep democracy. I don't want to live in a democracy where people think it's fine to, elect someone who wants to kill me. He has literally said, "I want to use a
Mm-hmm.
machine gun on every single leftist in Brazil."
Mm-hmm.
He has said it during the election. He was really clear. So we as Marxists know that spontaneous organization rarely work, but to protect my fellow Brazilian citizens and my family and myself, I really hope that Brazil finds a magical way, a spontaneous way to fight it. But the scenario doesn't look good looking at what we saw over the last 12 years.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope I'm wrong. I hope that we are able to find some sort of alliances to make it work. But yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
best scenario looking forward. And again, I have to repeat that seeing examples from you guys in the other countries around the world gives us strength, or of at least showing people that a different way of living is
Yeah.
possible, that we don't have to accept, and oh
Yeah.
no, okay, let's live under dictatorship, that's fine. So that's it.
Communism and socialism does work. And for centuries, the Western propaganda and fake news try to make you believe that it doesn't work and it's totally wrong. It's just wrong. I cannot really. I'm a little bit curious. Can I ask you, like, how did you become Marxist?
So here in Brazil, as you can tell already, or I can show you, we have this habit of copying every single bad thing that American culture has. So here in Brazil, we have a lot of obese people. We have a lot of people, addicted to smartphones. So everything that is
Mm,
bad and addictive about the American culture, it's really common here in Brazil. And I wasn't different, because we know how ideology works. We, as Zizek likes to say, we eat from the trash can happily. So I myself, I have come from a middle class family. So normally here in Brazil, middle class mean you're conservative. So I
uh,
became this leftist education, everything from consuming culture. From consuming culture from black people in the United States,
mm,
for consuming culture from Catalonia in Spain, which has been
yeah.
a hotbed from anarchists and communists during when they fought the Franco-fascism in the 30s and whatnot. And from those experiences and seeing these things, I was able to educate myself and then apply the
Wow.
same in Brazil. But because normally I would not follow Brazilian politics, I would okay, it's really tough here. And I from understanding this, and just for you to know, the way I acted politically really changed was during the 2018 elections, because Bolsonaro was elected in the end of 2018 when we have our last presidential election. And this guy has always been an insane fascist from the get-go. He's always been crazy and homophobe, attacking gay people, black people, women. He has literally said that because here in Brazil we have quilombolas, which is we have the indigenous people in their land, and we have the descendants of the slaves, because Brazil had slavery for 400 years of African people. So descendants of slaves who were able to escape and form their own communities, we have their land as well. It's called quilombola. So Bolsonaro went there and he said, "Oh no, the skinniest person I saw was like 200 kilos. They don't work. They just want our money. They're leeches." So he always been this guy. And when I followed that the election, this guy was number one on the polling, because as I told you, they arrested the leftist leader, Lula, the Workers' Party. They arrested him so he couldn't be on the election sheet. When I saw him growing, I went crazy. I said, what the fuck is happening? Because when you grow up in this liberal thing, when you believe in the institutions, democracy, and I'm a lawyer, so I have more of this. I have more of this, theoretical studies on it should work, democracy, blah blah blah. You have this notion more ingrained in you, and when I saw the liberals were no, but we cannot elect the left because we be like Venezuela. The average people here in Brazil think that if we elect a leftist government here, we will be the same situation as Venezuela. So this is the talking point. And I got crazy. What the fuck are you guys doing? I used to have a Facebook with lots of friends, and I have a different Instagram account. And when I saw what was going on, because Bolsonaro almost won on the first round of voting, because in Brazil, if you don't reach 50%, you go to the second round. And when he almost won, I closed down my office as a lawyer, and I went to the streets every single day for 30 days to talk to people on the streets about what Bolsonaro is, what his economic plans would mean. And I was able to talk to over 1,000 people on this month that I was, riding buses and talking, and I went to farmers markets, where people send produce and this kind of stuff. I went there and I opened a little, stand of my own with, posters. And let's just talk about politics. And I wasn't defending the left. My main argument was the last president, the one that took over after the impeachment, the coup that they put up. He had a 3% approval rating, and he was the guy who passed the reforms against the workers' laws and etc. And my main argument was, listen up, Bolsonaro may say all this stuff, but economically, he is the same as Temer. Michel Temer was the guy's name. And I was able to do it. And I was just one of thousands of Brazilians who was doing it on the last few days before Bolsonaro was elected. And we were able to turn over 10 million votes that he was going to get. And we were able to brought back to the center-left candidate. Bolsonaro was going to win by 20 million votes. He won by 10 million votes. This is still a lot. Over 55 million people voted for the fascists here in Brazil. 55 million people voted for him. But I started my, activism and being really, trying to make a difference and to organize myself when I saw the fascist was in place. I really blame myself to be do nothing liberal before that. I should have been in the fight before, because luckily I'm able to communicate easily. I know I can talk to people. It's something that I do well. And it took a fascist for me to see that what I was, supporting by proxy, by doing nothing, because when you do nothing, we're supporting whatever it's happening. When the fascists come, I change my ways. So in a way, Bolsonaro is the reason I'm such a diehard
Mm.
Marxist and revolutionary and stuff.
Yay! Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, it's so nice to talk to you, and then you did open my eye a lot about what's happening in Brazil, and I have nothing but just great, big love and heart for you, Brazilian comrades, and please keep doing what you're doing. You really brave to do that, I I really admire you for doing that. Like you walk to the street and talk to people, and talk to thousands of people, and you did it. Even though like it's still like he still won, but like at least you did something, and thousands of people listened to you. It was not nothing. So like people actually make fun of this, but like the first tenet of Lunaism is to try to not do nothing. Like,
Yeah.
please do something, even though you know that it doesn't work. Just please do it, because at least in the future you won't feel sorry for yourself to yourself. That like it's very important for me to like in the future. I'm really scared of the thought of like the regret that I didn't do anything in the past.
Yeah.
That's I'm very scared of that thought, of the feeling. So try to not do nothing, okay?
I think you are summing it up really well. I think that obviously, as I said, looking for the last 12 years, what most likely we will see here is a really heavy repression with a lot of violence and torture and whatnot. But it's a question of mental health. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
sit idly by my house and just
Mm-hmm.
watch this insanity,
Yes.
unfold, and not talk to people and not do anything. Obviously, right now, when we have over 1,000 people dying, I won't go to the streets, and protest and do anything, because not only would I be putting myself and my family at risk, I would be possibly infecting people who are, just living their lives and buying
Exactly. Yes.
groceries.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
can't do it. But uh, well, at least until the fascist coup doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't. I still have the internet. I still can talk to people. And I just ask people to follow what's happening in Brazil really closely. The situation here, it's not good at all. Be it regarding the pandemic, which, as I told you, the cases here are just low, hundreds of thousands, maybe more, a million people are infected. We have thousands of deaths. And with all that, we have really right now a serious threat. Bolsonaro's son, he has 3 sons, Eduardo, pretty much has said that the president is ready to do a coup. He is glad that the media will get what's coming to them pretty soon. And so we are really at the headlock here between the Supreme Court, which is the only capitalist institution who is fighting him. The parliament is sitting idle. And what we can do is inform ourselves, never stop talking to people, being
Mm.
brave in regards of telling how it is and disconstructing the ideology that they sell to tell who are paying for these people, who supports these people, and why they do what they do. Is not because they care about your family, is not because they care about the economy, is because they want to make sure that the profits of the 6 Brazilians, the multi-billionaires, they want to keep that unchanged, even if they are ready to kill thousands of Brazilians to do it. And what we have left is ourselves, is organization, is work, and we won't cower from it. We will move forward, and we are ready to pay the price. You know what it is as well.
Solidarity. Um, Yeah. Wow. I'm still in shock. I don't know what to say. So I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for having you here in my channel to talk about Brazil, and the left movement is over there. And I'm sending you my best wishes, and I hope that everything is going gonna be fine over there. And then the workers of the world always support the workers in Brazil, and we together will change the system. I believe so. And look at what's happening in the USA. I do think that the revolution is coming soon, and I do think that it's gonna affect well, the whole America, the continent, a lot. I hope that. So thankful. I'm thank you for being here and talk to me and talk to everybody watching this video. And best wishes for you. And please stay strong and stay safe. Thank you so much for being here.
Bye,
Goodbye,
Luna. Bye,
Lucas.
everyone. Thank
Yes.
you so much for your time. And please keep informed about Brazil, keep informed about coronavirus, protect yourselves, protect your family, and support countries like Vietnam and countries that, take people into first place and have zero thoughts about liberty, economy, and life and all
Oh,
this
yes.
insanity. So thank you so much for your time. Be seeing you.
Bye bye. Love you. Bye bye.